Two friends think they may have recorded the presence of a spirit when they entered a graveyard late at night. Here's their evidence. Look at the back row of tombstones on the right and focus on the one that's closest to the road.
Only see what's in front of us. We'll turn my shot off.
An intense source of light plays over the gravestone. It could be a reflection of their headlights bouncing off some glass, but something seems a little off about the angle, and if this gravestone was not made of glass, then there's absolutely no explanation for this video. Let me know if you think this is real, or if they got fooled by their own car.
You only see what's in front of us. We'll turn my shot off.
Some fast food places have hidden items on the menu that have to be special ordered, but I don't think that's what's going on during this horrifying moment caught on tape. Buried at the very bottom is what appears at first to merely be a piece of grated cheese, but is far worse than that. A disgusting yellow larva, soon to be a fly, wiggles hello at the camera.
It's moving, man.
He could always get his money back, but that's not the point. I don't see the taco anywhere in this video, so I assume that means it's been eaten already. Bugs and all. A young woman was walking home late at night when she was met with a worst case scenario. Someone was following her. Posted to TikTok by Carolina Judah. The TikToker captures a montage of her journey from the foggy streets to the bus to a dark walk on her road home. A man is seen standing behind the bus stop. He is nothing but a shadow. She says she ignored him and just continued walking. Capturing a shot between her though, she finds that he's trailing her about 20 feet away. As the journey continues, he seems to be speeding up, and in fact, he gets closer. He appears to be wearing a hood. Carolina says he began shouting something at her, and she thought he'd been drinking. He falls behind a ways, and as soon as she rounds a bend, she sprints home. Although she couldn't see him anywhere when she arrived, 20 minutes later she heard the doorbell at the gate. She called her mom, but there was no answer, and outside her window she spotted the man standing just outside the gate. The man later jumped the gate, crossed the garden, and tried yanking on the door handle. Carolina locked herself inside the bathroom waiting for her parents to arrive. He eventually stopped, but she stayed put, too afraid to move. In the video's comments, TikTokers suggest not to walk home when you're being followed, but rather lead the stalker to someplace with people and/or bright lights. This route looked like it had neither, so what should she do in this case? Any suggestions? Something in the woods is about to blow this cop's mind and his eardrums. He walks back with wide eyes and puts his flashlight away, completely done with the situation until backup arrives, but backup doesn't seem to do much better. I think this could be a recording because the scream sounds exactly the same both times. So maybe somebody put a really good speaker system in the woods, or maybe that's just what I'm choosing to believe because I don't want to accept that this is real. A Ring doorbell camera caught this video of a scary clown lurking around the neighborhood, and it has everyone freaking out. A total stranger stands with their head bent at an extreme angle, examining the doorbell camera before a noise startles them, and they slowly back away like they were about to do something wrong. This was taken 4 days before Halloween, so it's probably somebody who is super excited and just wanted to creep people out early this year. Still, no friends are with them as they lurk around people's property uninvited, and no one in the neighborhood recognizes them, so who knows what they're up to. Also, notice how they didn't go back to the sidewalk. They go through the yard like they're either about to look in the next house or try a window. It might be 4 days before Halloween, but maybe they're using this as cover to case houses in the near future. A forest and nighttime is a terrible combination. That's what these men find when they set out into the area jungle in the darkness. Facebook user Kaiser Sharam shared this video of a peaceful walk through the moonlit forest. Just kidding, this is anything but peaceful. A couple minutes into the footage, a man points out something lurking amongst the trees, similar to another entry in this list. It appears like a woman with long black hair dressed in white. They keep their distance, only pointing out the figure to the camera. Later, they follow her into an abandoned building. Her long hair disappears around a corner. When they turn the corner, she's vanished. They search through the dark building, but don't cross paths with her again. That is, until they enter the dark and expansive forest. They spot a strange figure. It's not the woman, but appears to be something wrapped in a white sheet. When the man approaches to peer inside, the thing moves. What is it? Could it be some sort of ceremonial figure left to these men by the dark-haired witch? Whatever it is, it bows to the man again as he probes it and then walks away. What do you think this might be? What's inside? I don't think I would unwrap this gift. 1974, Disneyland opened up a new attraction called America Sings, where robotic animals would sing together as one. Animatronics was a relatively new technology at the time, and this footage was taken just weeks after the attraction debuted.
Yankee Doodle liked the South, sang their song so dear, thought they were most elegant for everyone to hear.
The show is going as planned until a loud interruption happens just seconds after the lights go down. What you just heard was supposedly the final screams of a Disneyland employee named Deborah Stone. Deborah was an announcer for America Sings, and she passed away after accidentally stepping into a powerful mechanical device used to rotate the walls of the theater. Apparently, Deborah's demise is a true story, but I can't tell if this scream was really hers or added in later. The scream itself does sound a little too clear to me, and possibly sounds like it was recorded using modern equipment, but I'm definitely not an expert in this department. If you think this scream was real, then be sure to let me know how you can tell. A street cam video from Papua New Guinea has caught something really bizarre on tape that I wanted to get your opinion on. A pale apparition appears to form under a street signal, and what it does next leaves government workers speechless. This ghost sighting could be a trick of the light. You can see the headlights of an approaching vehicle at 12 seconds right when the ghost supposedly flies up into the air. What they think is a ghost could be an optical illusion caused by rays of light bending towards the camera on a rainy day. This video terrified the locals near Greenway Avenue in Manchester in the UK. Two women walking in bare feet are chatting in the wee hours of the morning and are oblivious to the man watching them between cars along the venue. The man follows them, attempting to stay out of their purview. The alleged behavior of the man was shared by an area resident on social media. Although this is where the story ends for us, there has to be more story to this. The man's behavior needs explaining. Whatever he was up to, let's hope those women got home safe. If you've been watching scary countdowns for a while, then you've probably come across this video at some point. What other channels don't bother to tell you is that there's an additional 2 months worth of evidence to analyze. But first, let me start with this viral video of their fateful first encounter. On May 3rd, 2011, a strange man who they've never seen before randomly stands outside of the apartment of a YouTuber named Andrew J. Neese. Andrew and his girlfriend do what most people would do and dial for help. Here's the original phone call with the authorities. Tell me if you think it's real.
and he's just like looking up at the window. He's been there for about 30 minutes now. Yeah, male, maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 30, I guess. I can't tell.
There's never an actual voice on the other end, which makes me suspect it could be staged, and I thought 911 operators were trained to stay on the line until police come. That's not what happens here.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's where most channels leave off, but this is actually just the beginning. What most people don't know is that there's another 911 phone call made by his girlfriend the very next night on May 4th to anyone who has ever worked in emergency response. Tell me if this second phone call sounds legit or if they're just pretending to talk to someone.
I'd really like you to do something about it. Yeah, my boyfriend already made a report. We're on there's a parking lot behind our house. Yeah, 6:50. Okay, thanks.
Another night passes, and the figure returns, silent and wide-eyed as ever. Andrew gets upset enough to say something this time, and look what happens to the camera when he does.
Hey. Hey.
I don't know what's going on.
A red flash occurs at 58 seconds, a brief electronic disturbance possibly induced by an intensive wave of emotions, perhaps a telekinetic reaction to getting yelled at. I only say this because the exact same curious red flash happened 6 days later on May 12th, except this time, their stalker is not even there. They simply sense him and then the flash appears.
He's not even there!
Alright.
And by June 17th, it's gotten to the point where Andrew's motion sensor camera keeps zooming in on a figure that simply isn't there. The equipment is having trouble focusing. In other words, on the very same spot where their not-so-secret admirer had stood for over a month straight. So is Andrew manually making it go out of focus, or is there an invisible phantom figure really standing there like he says? But I'm getting way ahead of myself by mentioning the events of June. That's a particularly bad month for them, and we still aren't done talking about May 8th to be exact, when they first started to suspect the perpetrator could be supernatural.
Hey, look, he's throwing the window.
His arms are at his sides, and yet something pings off the window.
I don't even see him throwing anything.
Oh my god, but how is he doing then?
And sure enough, there's another odd flash at 1 minute and 6 seconds, like something's feeding off the peak of their fear, growing stronger. No longer is the watcher satisfied with leering at them from the corner. He now wants inside. A full month of harassment accumulates in scraps of paper, all saying the same word, hello. Apparently, this is some form of psychotic social interaction for whoever's doing this. A creepy game they are just beginning to play. Time only makes the man grow bolder. By June 20th, the tapping is all over their windows. It's the sound of someone's finger against glass, and yet there's no silhouette to be seen. Either they are behind the couch tapping, or they're somehow making this noise from the alley outside. Left on the window is a picture of this creepy smiling face with X'd out eyes. Only someone who's really into the idea of tormenting two totally innocent people would bother drawing this, let alone deliver it in person. Little does Andrew or his girlfriend know they are less than 1 day from seeing him up close for themselves. On June 22nd, there's more tapping, which is not even that unusual by this point. And so Andrew's girlfriend goes to the window thinking that no one is there. She throws open the blinds, still recording for evidence, and Waiting for her is the watcher himself, closer than he has ever been before. It's hard to see, but at 47 seconds he's holding an illustration of the same grisly face as before, X'd out eyes, this time with a message that says hello in the same handwriting as the scrap notes left by their door. I doubt he just wants to only say hello for much longer. Soon he will probably be saying goodbye to them, probably moments before he ends their lives. So if he's standing outside of the house in May and outside of their window by June, then he will probably be standing somewhere inside their house by July. Thankfully, they managed to move out before my theory gets put to the test. Now in a different location with iron bars, they finally feel safe for the first time in months, but their hopes of a peaceful life are shattered by the 1st of July when a familiar figure slides in. Something's off about this extra blurry entrance. He doesn't walk into frame so much as simply materializes. And come to think of it, I've never actually seen him move before. Then when it's time to leave, he vanishes, leaving only a faint trace as he walks. It could be the camera, or it could be editing, or it could be an actual ghost, in which case this may have been the last video, but I doubt it was their final encounter. A TikToker named Sydney Carpenter is convinced that her Snapchat filter is detecting not one, but two nearby faces. I don't think anything on this table or wall looks like a face, so I don't think it's a glitch. She tells it to stick its tongue out if it can hear her, and it does after a moment's hesitation. I don't think it's a coincidence, but watch this part for yourself and tell me.
Stick your tongues out if you can see me.
Do it, babe.
Yo, there's two of them.
Later on, it appears in a totally different place than last time. Like before, the Dalmatian appears to give the answer that yes, it is in fact up to no good.
Are you good? Are you bad?
She starts speaking to the remaining dog, and upon being asked if it was good, it disappears instantly.
Are you good? It disappeared.
Which I guess stands for no. There's just way too many strange interactions like this one that makes sense for me to ignore. In 2010, a man from South Jersey named Nick mysteriously went missing. His older brother Mark vanished shortly thereafter. Their small town was devastated by these back-to-back disappearances and feared the worst. There wasn't a shred of evidence for police to go off of, at least not until a few months later when one of Nick's high school acquaintances receives this mysterious post office package. Inside the package are memory cards and hard drives with hundreds of videos to analyze. Eerily enough, the return address was Nick's house, so either Nick sent this himself or someone else mailed it on his behalf well after his disappearance. Perhaps it was sent by whoever was responsible. A lot of the videos are typical teenage vlogging material you'd expect from 2010. Basic stuff like making a sandwich or watching TV. But on the other hand, there are at least 30 videos containing super creepy information relevant to his whereabouts, or should I say his possible remains. Let's retrace Nick's steps. On September 3rd, 2010, Nick goes to the notoriously haunted Pleasant Mill Cemetery in Batstow, Jersey to see what he can find. On the other side of an old bridge in the woods, he sees some 1800 burial markers and an old church that makes him feel creeped out. Though whatever he thinks he sees while standing on this bridge is what freaks him out the most. This is where voices are said to sometimes be heard on the water. Tell me if you see anything. I honestly can't say I see anything strange, but maybe something was there that didn't show up on camera. The video ends with him running back to his car looking very serious and scared, wide eyes and all, so he probably really did see something strange. He never wants to go back there again, but at sometimes the experience eats away at him until a week later on September 10th, when he goes back to settle his curiosity once and for all, this time with his friend Austin. Night has fallen by the time they arrive. There's not much activity by the old church, so they walk over to the river. They don't hear anything and aren't really that scared, so they challenge each other to sit in the darkness under the bridge, the very same bridge where Nick first saw something, mind you. And as soon as their lights go out, they make contact.
You hear that?
When they turn their lights on to see what's out there, they see this broad goblin-like face looking back at them, soon followed by a splash of water, like something jumping at them, or else reaching up from the depths below. Away they run and away it follows. I don't know what this thing is, but since they've disturbed its home twice now, it decides to return the favor. What you're about to witness happened on the very same night. Nick sees movement behind this curtain wall and thinks it has to be his older brother Mark. It certainly looks like someone's hands, and yet no one's there. Suddenly it grows very cold where he's standing, cold enough to see his own breath, which is odd considering it isn't cold enough to see his breath when he's outside looking for Mark. They really should have stopped going there, but on September 18th they try again. This time, after following these strange lights in the woods, they discover something they were never meant to have. This nondescript book has no title, but I want to know more about this strange binding. It looks like part of a protective ritual, or maybe even a curse upon whoever opens it without permission. Nick grabs it and they go get something to eat, and that's subsequently when they start getting followed even worse than ever before. By now, Nick and Austin have developed somewhat of an unhealthy obsession with the Pleasant Mill Cemetery. It scares them, but it also attracts them and they can't stop going. Maybe something there is enticing them to return. Something that wants its book back, and the more times they visit, the stronger its presence becomes at home.
What? Tired of this. Wait. What the?
When you look at the picture before it falls at 10 minutes and 28 seconds, I think it's a picture of Mark, the older brother who would soon disappear. On September 27th, Nick and Austin make a discovery that they seem to shrug off but I think is important. It's inside of an old house that they find not too far from the cemetery. The outside looks like it went ablaze a long time ago. Through a square hole in the floor, they spy an area that looks like it could have been a secret chamber when covered. They get a really bad feeling and don't want to go down, but Austin makes a simple observation that I think speaks volumes.
Oh, it smells. Alright, we're wasting time. We gotta go.
It could be mold, or it could be a body that hasn't been disturbed in quite some time. Things get really crazy after they discover the possible body. By November 2nd, Mark is gone and nobody knows where he went. Nick goes back to the cemetery to look for his brother, and this final recording is what he finds. A tall figure with an all-white face marches toward him, with a long tool in his hand. All I will say is that it looks like Nick sadly met the same fate as his brother. A woman has a full-on break from reality while on public transportation. She carries a full conversation with herself and some sort of laughing tone that only she can understand. Then she becomes absolutely overwhelmed with grief before snapping out of it. When someone approaches her to offer comfort, she switches back to laughter with a glare. The person wisely keeps their distance and does not come any closer. Next, the woman pulls out a dirty towel with stains and disappears into her own world, apparently laughing again. I really hope she gets the help she needs, because this seems like some sort of mental episode that needs to be treated fast. She and everyone around her are lucky that this didn't escalate to the point where someone had to physically intervene. When demons get aggressive, then it's time to be really afraid. Published by Realidad Alterna in November of 2021, this scary video shows a terrifying, malignant incident caught on camera, captured in a scary haunted house. Tim sets up his camera and immediately hears a strange noise behind him. As he's reading something out loud, a window pane starts opening and shutting like mad. The lights start flashing in both rooms, and later, with the night vision on, a chair comes flying out of another room. It doesn't look like it's thrown, rather like it rises, but the scariest part is yet to come. As Tim reads a ritual out loud, a chair comes flying behind him, knocking him over, and seated into the chair. Later, he hears strange knocking from the basement. And when he goes to investigate, creepy groans sound distantly, but they seem like they're all around him. There is something truly to fear in this demon house. Are you ready to face it?
All right, just like a quick check-in. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's doing it.
A TikTok video made by Kristen Parham has people wondering if she needs to call an exorcist or an electrician.
I'm not making this up. They're flickering again.
Some of the lights look brighter and flicker. It could be loose light bulbs rather than the spirit world. But the weird thing is sometimes they do this, sometimes they don't. If you are an electrician, then let us know in your professional opinion whether she's being dramatic or if the worst is yet to come. TT Mando posted this video in 2008 of his ninja cat chasing a ghost around the living room. In the description, he writes, "I've never really been a believer in ghosts, but my wife and I have two cats that used to always go nuts seeing things that we could not see. They would howl at the lights in our dining room and chase things around that were not there. It was really weird, so my one cat starts going nutty one night like he is seeing something. So I decided to try and shoot some footage, thinking maybe I can see what they are seeing through a camera." The video begins with the cat watching something floating in the air attentively. What is he staring at? While shooting the footage, the YouTuber switched between regular and night vision mode, which is when the ninja cat started climbing the walls. Literally. You can see that the cat has managed to climb to the top of a dresser and is looking up into the corner of the room. Whatever the cat has its eyes on must be moving all over the place because her gaze darts here and there. The cat then jumps down from its spot on the dresser to a scratching post, and then, as its eyes follow the invisible, it jumps up the wall and lands on the floor. It tries again, jumping up the door and managing to get its claws into the door frame. It looks up into the corner of the ceiling, its head still darting around. The cat hangs there for nearly an entire minute, seemingly enraptured by the ghost or spirit in its sights. Seriously, do you see anything there? Because I sure do. According to the YouTuber, a dot of light moved through the TV once he got his cat down from the door. The YouTuber points out the light that moves from the back to the front of the room. If you watch the video closely, you can see it too. The experience was apparently traumatic for this cat owner, who now sleeps with the covers over his head. Two friends are creeping around a forest in Granada, Spain when they stumble upon something they were never meant to see. The humanoid is likely hunched over its prey as the two approach. They accidentally make a noise and the humanoid's keen ears detect them instantly. It looks up from his meal, ready to attack. You can see that this creature is thin and bony. It looks skinny and sunken in fast with a high metabolism. Its reaction time seems way too quick for any ordinary person. Did this statue move? Writes a person in the comments section of this marble statue video. Some other people agree. It does, but I can't say that I necessarily see it. At 45 seconds, this Snow White statue maybe looks like it sways slightly if you look hard enough, but that has to be camera movement. Maybe this is what they're talking about. What do you see? Does this creepy doll have special powers? Published by Indra Saputra Official. In April of 2022, something certainly happens inside this haunted place. Well, the camera shows that the couch is empty. When Indra backs up, look who is sitting in the darkness alongside the doll. Indra doesn't see the ghoul and casts his camera around. When he turns back to the sofa, the figure has vanished. Later, he opens the door and looks down the hallway. Is that her again? I don't want to stick around to find out.
Murah rezeki sehat selalu lo Bang Teke.
Kathy and her family often hear scary sounds coming from a basement they've long suspected to be haunted by a paranormal entity. Objects tend to move all by themselves down here, and this time, on July 3rd of 2020, a loud bang from the cymbals of their drum kit sends their father downstairs to investigate. Kathy stays on the steps, and Jaden, her daughter, is too afraid to venture down there at all. The father cautiously takes a few steps into the room and doesn't see anything out of the ordinary. A strange sensation of being watched keeps them all on alert, and then...
You heard it though, right?
I don't hear anything now.
Oh my...
Two empty bottles fall off the ledge with no one nearby. Nobody is hiding in the corner to pull a string, and there's no room for anyone to stand behind the bottles. The objects just move on their own, like a ghost pushed them. Or maybe Jaden stood at the top of the steps and pulled a string. Who knows? Weirder still is a ghost sighting on TikTok taken 4 days prior. This time using the ghost hunting app called Reality Ripple. Kathy's alone in the basement talking about previous encounters when she's literally interrupted by what she thinks are ghost orbs.
I turned on the... Oh, what was that? Looked like an orb. I don't know.
She turns on the Reality Ripple ghost hunting app and is surprised to find there's way more paranormal evidence down in the basement that's been right in front of her eyes the whole time.
It is... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
The app is only supposed to show color around living things, but paranormal entities are known to trip the app too. In other words, TikTok detects a ghost attached to her husband's drums. An alternative explanation is that the drums somehow look like the outline of a person, but I don't see how. Not even a painting of an actual person is enough to set it off, so I don't see how these drums would. With all of this paranormal evidence in mind, tell me if you think they are really haunted by a ghost, or if the whole family is playing a joke. This video was supposedly taken by a robotic camera while surveying an old oil tanker. A school of fish briefly swims in front of the camera, and suddenly one of the fish gets nailed by a spear in front of the camera. Something fast swims by to collect the fish shortly after. Many people believe that this video demonstrates the possibility of some kind of advanced sea creature who uses tools to hunt. After all, there's no reason for a person to be this far underwater hunting with a spear, and whatever moves in front of the camera is too fast to be a person. Of course, the obvious answer is CGI, but I would love to get your thoughts. Ever caught something in a video that freaks you out beyond measure? Joey Shade did in 2018. Shade writes, I put my phone down on record to see what had been taking things out of my garage. I noticed a second video I did not record that showed something move the phone closer to the door, but saw what looks like a hand of some sort. Shide begs viewers to tell him what this freaky fingered creature is. It's hard to tell, but whatever that thing is, I think it's time to move. Whatever the case may be, that hand certainly looks menacing to say the least. A YouTuber named For Your Viewing Pleasure just keeps having paranormal problems caught on their outdoor camera. This ladder falls straight over for no reason at all, but you'll never guess what else. Motion sensor lights go off right before it happens. It must be a ghost or the wind. So the question is whether or not wind can set off motion activated lights. Apparently the answer is yes, but only if the sensitivity option is set too high. Since we don't know what this camera settings were, we don't know what was caught on tape, but all I do know is this would be freaky to see outside of my house, that's for sure. This port city in western Saudi Arabia looks like the aftermath of a building collapse, or else some kind of terrible eruption, but it's none of that. It's actually just starting and the worst is yet to come. The massive plume of smoke spreads evenly across the horizon, and at 1 minute and 15 seconds you briefly get a glimpse of where it finally ends. There's no outrunning this event, and finding shelter is almost pointless. The cloud is growing taller by the minute as it heads towards them. The air is becoming gritty and it's getting harder to breathe. Vehicles desperately try to get away at the last second, but it's too late for any of them to get far, nor the cameraman for that matter, who seems resigned to his fate and makes no such attempt. This is a massive sandstorm, and if you haven't found shelter by now, you're in big trouble. The winds pick up and everything around him starts creaking unsteadily.
Yan, nandito na. Nandito na ang storm. Parating na. Sige.
Someone tell me what his last words are, and if you think he made it through this event.
Yan, Hindi ka makakadito.
Those are the last recorded moments before I assume the sand broke his camera. We may not get to see what happens next, but I doubt it was anything good. Either way, there's something about the possibility of this whole town getting buried alive that makes this video creepy beyond words. Next time you're wandering through a forest, look out for the trees. They might just be hiding duppies. Posted to YouTube by Javahan Ferguson in January of 2020. This video purports to show proof of a duppy caught in a tree. What's a duppy? Meaning ghost or spirit. The concept originated in Central Africa. Caribbean folklore in particular grasped onto the supernatural nature of the duppy. Many residents in fact claim to have seen them. The malevolent spirits appear most often at night and are meant to haunt the living. In the video, the so-called duppy woman appears to somehow be perched atop a tree. She is waving to someone or something beyond. If not something supernatural, how is this woman managing to stand or float atop a tree like this? And if she is a duppy, what imaginable malice does she intend to induce? A musical performance tunes up the paranormal apparently. Published by Chloe Fantion in July of 2013. Two men are playing music together in a bedroom, one guitarist and one violinist. They wrap up their song and leave the room, letting their camera roll. Once they've left, a shirt drapes over the shelf, falling down strangely, like there's a body inside. A moment later, items fall from the top shelf, and then both instruments start moving at once. The guitar falls completely off of the bed. Was this duo's music so haunting that it conjured up the paranormal? Or is something even more sinister going on here? This scary video clip captured not just one misty spirit miraculously floating atop the water, but a second emerging from below. Posted to TikTok by Horror Talk, the apparition gracefully glides on the water's surface, only for his brother's head to appear, materializing from the same point in the water. It grows upwards, but we're left to wonder where the pair of spirits wandered off to, and from where they came. Some in the comments think this is a weather balloon, others say it's La Llorona, the weeping woman who roams the waterfront. What do you think it could be? Is my house haunted? Writes a user named BB5432 on the haunted subreddit. This paranormal video of their place was caught on a neighbor's doorbell cam across the street, who later showed it to her out of concern. It doesn't look like much at first, but there's actually a lot of creepy things going on in this video that you might not see. But first, let's start with the basics. The Reddit poster claims her house was completely dark when these mysterious, unexplained lights started flashing all around the door. The television in the living room was not on, she says, and even if it were on, it's facing the opposite way at an angle that would not create this effect at all. Whether or not to believe her is up to you. I do, because the flashing seems too bright for a television and takes up the whole window at times. Nobody would watch a television screen that bright because it would undoubtedly hurt to look at for that long. And at 25 seconds, the creepy light grows even brighter and does not subside until the video ends. BB5432 later posted, she has no further reason to think their house is haunted, but still struggles to explain what this was if not a ghost. She adds the same thing happened to her years ago. The same neighbor showing her and her husband lights in their door, and nobody could figure it out then either. Someone said they should check the electrical wiring in that room, which I agree is a good move. But other than that, everyone else says this is super weird, and even she has to admit she's creeped out. There's also one more weird thing that I wasn't even going to mention, except she saw it too. A shadow figure in the doorway. You can see it whenever the lights go down, but it's probably most apparent at 4 seconds. I took a still image and zoomed in. Here it is with no special effects whatsoever. The outline of a shadow figure looking out the window. Tell me if you can see it too. I'd say that house is haunted, if that's not a resident. A YouTuber who goes by Anne posted this video back in 2014 of her sleepwalking activity at night. Using a webcam, she is able to record herself night after night jolting up while still being completely asleep. People have debated the authenticity of this video in the comments, but Anne swears she still does this every night to this day. I genuinely believe this footage is real, because sleepwalking is a well-documented behavior. Anne says she finds the footage hilarious, but there's something certainly chilling about that blank stare directly into the camera, as she's 100% asleep. This video is the launching point of one wild ride. Posted to the Ring subreddit, Midship92 explains that his neighbor messaged asking him to check on his wife who was home alone because someone was trying to get inside. After going to check and finding no one, this friendly neighbor went back home, only to find this Ring video footage had been sent to him. The clip shows what the man just missed. A shirtless creep crawling up the front steps of the home, hiding his face away before trying the door in an attempt to break in. The man then lets himself down the steps and walks off. The Redditor adds in the comments, after doing this to several houses and evading police, he was finally caught. Finding the man was quite an ordeal. The Redditor elaborates further, explaining that during the police search, the suspect kept disappearing only to be seen again minutes later, after trying to catch the guy for nearly an hour, only for him to vanish into thin air. The police abandoned the search. Left to his own devices, the man again tried to get in through another neighbor's back door, but the Redditor saw him from his deck. He chased the man into another neighbor's crawl space and stood guard there until the police returned. Thankfully, the wild goose chase led to the wild goose being caught. D-Master flexes camping overnight in a haunted cemetery. They get bored and let their guard down long enough to play a game.
What the? What the?
Yo, hold on.
The tower of Jenga blocks collapses seemingly all by itself. The tower was clearly built on a level surface, and there appears to be no strong winds to blow it over. I guess it could have just been a string, but if not, then this incident is almost certainly paranormal. An instructor records himself and his students for a teacher evaluation. He's giving a lecture about safety when some strange activities start to happen.
Out and about, what dangers might we bump into? Stephen, don't do that, please. It's distracting. That's one thing. Someone give me another one then.
Strangers?
Strangers?
I just moved Johnny's home.
Right. what we're going to do, we need to... I tell you what, guys, let's just go out for a minute.
By now, the class is in mild shock as they awkwardly line up and leave. According to the description of this video, later on they would say that they felt a strange static electricity in the air and a tingling sensation in their faces. After they leave, the possible haunting seems to continue for quite some time. Finally, the camera is knocked to the ground by an unseen force and the video ends. While out on his porch, this young man spots two green eyes peering back at him from the darkness. Published in June of 2020, Jimmy Reynolds lives near the edge of the woods, so it would be safe to assume that any number of woodland creatures are nearby. But what kind of creature is this? He approaches the eyes in the darkness, speaking out to it.
What the hell? See, there it is. Hey. Oh, what the f? You'll see that.
But as he gets closer, it apparently runs off. Jimmy thinks it could be a cat or a dog, but people in the comments are of the opinion that it's something much larger. Some say it's a skinwalker or a crawler. Others say it could be a forest ghoul. Cat Anonymous writes, "It's probably stalking your house for food. Not sure if it eats humans. In any case, this dude better lock his doors."
Alright guys, I just got a call about an abandoned National Guard armory.
Movement was detected on a motion alarm system, and now a safety officer named Beam 32 Getsum tries to convince himself that he's not scared as he approaches a building known to be very scary and haunted.
Now some people around here say that it's haunted and blah 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 blah. I don't think it's haunted. You know, that's just stuff that scary people say. It's not haunted.
He almost successfully calms himself down until he gets to the entrance and finds the door wide open.
We're going in. Oh God, please don't let me die. Please make yourself known. Do not jump out. Thought I heard something.
He knows he's in trouble when his flashlight begins flickering while he walks down a long dark hall, a classic sign of the paranormal rapidly draining his equipment of the battery life.
Brockton 306 to dispatch. What the f? What's going on? Yo, what's going on with my light?
He steps into a well-lit hall and waits for backup when the paranormal strangeness ramps up, and it's all caught on video.
I need you to send me additional units. Where are my additional units? See, this is...
The lights in the hallway turn off and on, much like his flashlight was doing. He runs into an actual police car at the end, so I think there might have been real paranormal activity caught on camera at this haunted building. Bryce Newbold describes this Ohio hiking experience through the Shawnee State Forest as a very rough trip, and by the end of this video you'll know exactly why. It's a hot summer's day and he has many miles ahead. By 4 miles he is drenched and walks about half a mile to drink from the river. His next source of water won't be until nightfall, and by then he will have walked 12 miles. By the second day he is feeling unusually miserable and drained and decides to take a shorter route.
I am absolutely covered in either little tiny ticks or chiggers. They're probably chiggers. They are all over me right now. I tried washing them off, but I mean, I'm gonna have to go through and pick them off one by one, it looks like.
He's looking pretty pale by the end of the day, even though he's been getting plenty of sun. That's because poor Bryce has been getting his legs chewed off by tiny ticks that won't give up, and by the end of the day it's looking pretty bad.
And I have a million bites from those little chiggers last night. You can see they're still on there.
By the time he gets back home, his legs and feet are covered in marks. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely would be going to one soon if I were him. That looks really bad, and I think it's probably time for a test or two to make sure you didn't get anything from them. I really hope he's okay and that nothing like this ever happens to him again. This eerie video has me doing a double take, published by Spot You Like in April of 2008. This scary clip is filmed outside the stunning New York Minster. The bells are ringing and the cameraman is taking it all in. He scans the cathedral and then starts walking toward it. A shot later, he is continuing on his way down a narrow shop lane. While the bells continue to sound, shops line either side of the street. But watch what happens in the upper window to the left. The cameraman zooms in on the ghostly pale face of a small child looking out the window. The child's eyes are dark and inky, and its face mask-like. As the camera zooms, the child disappears. The uploader notes that the house is called the Belfry and was built in the 17th century. Some in the comments claim to have stayed there and say that it has seriously spooky vibes. Is this the thing putting out those vibes? I'd say it's a pretty good chance. An ownerless shadow is in this alley. Moments later, a motorbike moves all by itself for almost 10 seconds before dropping hard. This incident is being mislabeled as a paranormal video as far as I'm concerned. Here's why. A strong wind blows through this drafty alley, so maybe a gust of wind popped up the kickstand and sent the bike in motion. Likewise, the shadow could be a result of this thing flapping overhead. Overall, I'm 50-50 on the legitimacy of this creepy moment, so help me decide if this bizarre street cam video is really paranormal. A group of friends see a stranger leave the woods in a hurry. They think it's odd and make a video.
Andy caught someone coming out of the tunnel. Pretty creepy, pretty scary. So.
Oh bro, what's that smell?
Oh, it's rank.
Can you smell that? Guys, there's literally flies all over the place. Oh bro, can you smell that? That stinks, bro.
Oh, nasty, man.
In the tunnel, they find a white sheet covered in red with a very distinct human outline underneath, and this is their reaction.
That stinks. Man, that was grim. Hey, we need to ring the police.
Crazy as anything.
Having this happen would be really scary.
We need to ring the police.
What?
We need to ring the police.
Have you got a phone?
No, I've not got a phone. Have you got one?
Bro.
Hey, can I have police, please?
One minute you're hanging out with your friends, and the next moment you're all suspects.
Yeah, I've just been exploring with mate, and we've just found a body.
When you hear some unusual noise in your everyday life, do you ever stop to think, what in the world was that? Redditor Shadow Husky 1 did when he heard this strange sound coming from his parents' closet. Husky writes, just moved in, house built in the late 50s. When the boy walks into his parents' bedroom, you can see his reflection in the floor-length mirror. Somebody's here, he says. As some note in the comments, at the 90-second mark, a strange shadow crosses the camera. Actually, it looks more like a blur or a smudge than a shadow. He asks the thing to please make a noise, and unfortunately it responds.
Please make a noise.
As the boy is backing away from the door, you can hear what sounds like clothes hangers clang together. He then enters an adjacent bathroom connected to the closet. As he tries to flick the light a dozen times, a woman's voice can be heard for a moment. Who is it? What do they want? Is there a spirit haunting this closet? If so, what happened here? Shadow Husky doesn't stay long enough to find out. Can't blame him. If you have a heart, this entry will break it. It was this woman's dream to arrive at her wedding by helicopter. She decided to surprise her husband at the altar by doing just that. Alongside her brother in July of 2017, she climbed aboard the copter. The flight took off in Brazil, just 1 mile from the reception venue. The excited bride-to-be and her brother are both smiling at the beginning of the video as they take off. But soon they're swallowed up by fog, an alarm starts going off and the camera begins to shake. You can hear the passengers screaming as the pilot loses control of the copter. All 4 pass away in the incident. When the copter didn't arrive at the venue after 15 minutes, despite the organizers being informed of its liftoff, the pastor was forced to tell the groom the devastating news, as neither he nor any of the other 300 guests had known about the planned entrance. The incident came as an absolute horror to the entire wedding party. It's painful to imagine and harder to watch. This surveillance footage was taken from the Helmikar College in South Africa. A strange mist appears in the far doorway and slowly morphs into the shape of a girl wearing a long dress. She casually walks into a nearby classroom, as if this was just another ordinary school day, except of course the room is empty and no one is in the building. Even though this is called Helmikar College, it's actually just a high school, and this phantom-like figure does appear to be around the same size as an average student. This makes me think it could possibly be real, though I guess they could have just edited this girl into the video if they really wanted to. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by A Growing Lotus, filmed in the Inland Empire in Southern California, this Redditor suspects these lights are a part of an unidentified flying object. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
Is there 3 of them?
Yeah, it's like 3. What is that? But then, Mom, stars? What the heck is?
Keep recording it, because that is weird. And the way they're moving, like up and down, airplanes don't do that. Airplanes don't move up and down like that.
And it's not a drone either.
What? The other one's kind of disappearing.
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Adventurous Ad 2736 wondered if they were paper lanterns, to which the uploader responded saying, "They move too fast up and down and I don't think paper lanterns can do that." And Faded Claws YT wrote, "It's probably just those drones people use for light shows and stuff," to which the uploader responded saying, "They didn't look like drones in person, but who knows? They were extremely bright. You can't tell in the video unfortunately, and they disappeared eventually. So which side are you on here? Paper lanterns, drones, or a legit unidentified flying object? Let me know in the comments."
I thought I was hallucinating at first.
And now the other one's like already
disappearing. I'm having like a really weird deja vu feeling.
Just go away now.
But the other one's kind of disappearing. Did they just disappear?
That's insane.
There's one.
There's one right there. There's 2 on that side.
YouTuber D-Dog Michael is back at it again, exploring this abandoned place, and he is not alone.
무슨 소리지? 뭐야? 거기 누구세요? 누구세요 거기?
After being scared to his wits' end, Michael enters another dark room and sees this. Did that hand just confront him? The mystery continues as he enters a room of mirrors.
뭔 소리야? 뭐야? 나 지금.
After this terrifying encounter, he keeps on going.
누구 있어요 혹시? 혹시 누구? 와! 잠깐, 본 사람 방금 본 사람.
Someone is there for sure. And that someone is stalking him.
그만이요.
Michael hears both a girl and a man in this haunted place, but are they good or evil? I think that he'd better hedge his bets because he can't be sure. A YouTube channel called the Yak Attack FL has to think fast and battle back when a hammerhead shark takes an interest in them. A single sudden movement could tip over the kayak, so he has to remain balanced and sitting down while adrenaline courses through him. There's nothing left to do but try to scare it away however they can. He smacks the shark with his paddle, and you don't see it, but you can hear the force as he connects. This just drives the shark closer to the person recording, and in this moment you can tell that it has the extra wide jaws and flat head of a real hammerhead shark. As these tooth marks later show, the shark was testing them and would have been ready to take a chomp out of any arms or legs hanging over. Eventually it gets tired of their battling back and leaves them in peace. So if you were stuck in a one-person kayak and sharks start to circle, do you think this is an appropriate way to handle it? I don't think I could personally get aggressive like this towards the shark, but as this video shows, it may have saved these fishermen. Jose Cruz is stuck at home in Arlington, Virginia, so he decides to take a random video of the rain. Only when looking at the video much later does he notice the ghost of a girl twisting in the wind for a brief moment before fading away. From what I understand, falling rain is one of the most difficult things to fake in terms of video editing, which makes me think the ghost sighting is real. The more times you look at it, the more it looks like she really does stop, consider him for a moment, and then goes on her way. I mean, wind or not, rain shouldn't move like that unless something is physically under it. Shand Ali Jat is a ghost hunting fashion model with a YouTube channel based out of Pakistan. Look what happens moments after he is caught on camera getting chills. A low-flying bat distracts them long enough to turn their back to a boarded-up window. Something bangs on this barricade from the other side. They stand in the center of the room more than an arm's length away from everything in sight. The ghost always seems to wait until their back is turned before it throws open a door or a window. They put a scroll in front of the fireplace, and the evil spirit sets the parchment on fire out of disapproval. The way it goes out is just as unnatural as the way it begins. None of them did anything to cause this that I can see. It's as if it spontaneously combusted. As they examine the door, this YouTuber is thrown into the wall by a paranormal force. It doesn't look like he jumped into the wall either. His head is up and his arms are down as if he's being held by the neck as he lays gasping on the ground. One of their cameras captures the fireplace silently roaring back to life, like it's feeding off of their fear. Meanwhile, this final ghost sighting is caught on tape in the far corner of the room. It might be edited, but based on all of the other creepy paranormal evidence, I wouldn't be surprised if it was real. Morgan Adams is a popular YouTuber who doesn't ordinarily focus on paranormal content at all. So when she recently suspected that her house was haunted, you know I had to take a look. Let's go over the evidence and see if her suspicions are correct. She claims to hear tapping and scratching on the walls, which could be an animal, but then there's whispers too. When this happens, she uses Snapchat and almost always detects a second face nearby. She has named the spirit Angie, and it seems to have become quite attached. Angie often responds to her own name.
Angie! Oh my god! Angie, you have a lot of new friends that would like to say hi. Oh my.
Though Snapchat could be mistaking the shelf behind her for a winking face, and these two objects on the wall for eyes, Angie typically lurks around the corner of the house reserved for overnight visitors, coincidentally the same area where her dog Ollie absolutely refuses to go. Even with the promise of a treat, Ollie will only allow himself to go so far before he refuses to budge. Some dogs have trouble keeping their balance on hardwood floors and can actually develop a fear of them over time. I thought that could be Ollie's deal because he puts one paw on the wood and stops at 9 minutes and 8 seconds, but at 8 minutes and 52 seconds he has no problem walking on the same type of floor, so that can't be why. I think Morgan Adams could be giving a verbal command for Ollie to sit when she says okay at 9 minutes and 8 seconds. You tell me if Ollie is doing a trick or if he senses something and is too nervous to go forward.
Come on. Okay, come on.
I don't think it's fake because then she tells him to come on and he still won't move, and when Morgan gets to the end of the hall, she hears a noise and shudders. Plus, Ollie isn't the only animal acting weird. Her cat will freeze at the door like someone is on the other side, and Morgan even hears knocking sometimes.
Cut it out right now. Stop!
There's never anything there, and yet the cat stares at the wall as if something has its attention.
Literally, I'm gonna freak out if you don't stop. Oh my, there's orbs, literally.
An orb of light also flies in the direction that her cat is staring. Odd indeed. Oh, and there's also this strange Snapchat photo taken in the middle of the night. It could be something photoshopped, but I see something more to it. To the left of the shadow person, I see a face on the wall, and another peeking out from behind the covers. It almost looks like the exact same from a photo taken at the mountain pass, where Angie the spirit first followed Morgan home. And if you're wondering where Angie is in the photo, check out Morgan's shoulder. The dark hair is not hers. Finally, one night her dad lets it slip that the property was built near an old burial ground. Tell me if you think he is telling the truth here or not.
Do you think our house is haunted?
Nope. The way he pauses and looks away makes me think he could have been trying to avoid saying anything that could make his daughter worry any more than she already has been. So is all of this real or fake? I'm 50-50 on this one, so your opinions will help me decide. Everyone knows the woods are a witch's favorite haunt. YouTuber The Ghost Hunter captured this witch on camera at around 11 p.m. First, they hear a terrible scream. They continue to hear these strange noises. And as they carry around a ring of fire, they hear more.
हाँ बिल्कुल इतना सोचते मत। अच्छा चलो इधर आओ पीछे आओ।
The strange sounds continue.
आग खत्म होने वाली है हमारी, तो इसके लिए हमें और थोड़ा फास्ट जाना पड़ेगा। चल चल।
But they don't see anything.
ये तो से इधर उधर हमारा लाइट ही बुझ जा रहा है।
हमारे यहाँ पे लाइट ही कनेक्शन बंद हो जा रहा है ऑटोमेटिकली। हम गाइस कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा।
It is definitely not an animal.
रुकने लायक है।
भाई आज जरा हद हो गई यार।
But remains out of sight.
उधर कहाँ जा रहा है?
Well, I'm not sure that's a witch. As the channel suggests, I do think they have something paranormal on their hands. A demon, a skinwalker, who knows? All I know is I wouldn't want to hear this in the middle of the woods at night. ColtsFan210 posted the creepiest doorbell camera video ever on r/paranormal Reddit with one simple question. Why does this chair start rocking, he writes, adding that his brother gets quite scared when he turns around. I don't see anyone hiding behind the chair, but it's hard to tell because there's something in front of the chair and things look blurry. ColtsFan210 has no idea why the doorbell video is compressed and pixelated. It has never looked that way before or since, only this one time. Paranormal interference from a spirit in the chair could be one reason why. AJ and her friend are hiking the Glacier National Park in Montana when they see a bear charging towards them. The bear sighting becomes even more terrifying when they lose track of it somewhere below. It could come up the small embankment to charge at them, but instead it changes courses and runs towards a second tour group. They frantically scream to try and keep the bear away, but it's of no use. The animal is far from scared as it runs straight into them. Or should I say, straight through them. As it turns out, the bear is more interested in getting a wild goat that just so happens to be on the other side. But if any of them had tried to run away, which is a natural instinct when a bear is barreling down on you, then this scary situation would have gone from a bear sighting caught on video to something much worse. Have you ever met a ghost on a cruise ship? Well, here's your chance. Published on July 25th, 2010 by YouTuber Jim Van Eekhout, this video allegedly captures the wails of the Queen Mary pool ghost. The retired ocean liner was active from the 27th of May 1936 to the 31st of October 1967 on the North Atlantic. According to some, the ship is haunted, and regular ghost tours visit the Queen in the wee hours of the morning to witness the supernatural. Not only that, but the historic treasure now operates as a museum, hotel, restaurant, and all-in-one tourist destination. While it may seem like the ghost stuff was just tacked on for the charm of it, some claim that a murder actually did occur on the ship in one of the staterooms, and the victim's ghost is said to haunt that room till this day. One of these tales seems to be that of a baby named Jackie who lurks near Queen Mary's pool. According to the uploader, there were no children in the tour group, which set out at 1 a.m., but listen closely. You hear that? It's a baby crying. The black and white video is creepy enough, with the empty deserted pool below and the crowd standing around with blank faces, but then you hear that eerie wailing of an infant, followed by the humming of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's enough to send chills up your spine. Although the humming is credited to one of the investigators, the baby's cries are credited to the ghost of Jackie, which leaves us wondering, what happened to baby Jackie, and why do her cries remain here? The Malaysian district of Sabak Bernam recently had an odd occurrence take over the entire village in November of 2020. That's when residents began to hear this sound. Phantom knocking at odd hours day and night. It's kind of hard to see through the glass, but let me put it to you this way. If I can tell there is a white car parked out front, then I definitely should be able to see the outline of whoever is pounding hard enough to rattle this door, and yet nothing's there. This video and others like it remain unexplained. If a whole village were faking this, then surely at least one person would have accidentally confessed by now. Months later, nobody has. Based on this paranormal evidence, I'd say something actually appears to be haunting this village. Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.